especially as a human, yeah. You might also be traveling as a cat. Okay, hey, hello, I'm Stella. I travel, I do videos. I'm not super good in introductions that no one is interested in anyways.
No.
I recently went to Iceland and I had an amazing trip, and if you want to check out my adventures, I will link them below. I thought I'd just put together the 10 most asked questions when it comes to traveling to Iceland. So if you are planning to go to Iceland, or if you are thinking about planning a trip to Iceland, that might be for you. The first question is Iceland a safe country to travel for? Especially if you're a female solo traveler. I'm a female solo traveler. Is it safe? Is it worth the risk? Can you go there? And the answer is yes. Iceland is a very safe country to travel to. It has a very low criminal rate. It is very welcoming. It is very open. There is no judgment. Also, if you are traveling alone, I saw a lot of solo ladies going to Iceland. I met them in my accommodation. I also met them at the tourist spots. So very, very, very safe country to go to, nothing to worry about. The only thing that I will say is if you are in the wild nature, that might be unsafe if you are off guard. If you are not respecting the safety guidelines and you stumble over a volcano and you are hurting yourself, or you are, catched by a huge wave in the ocean because you are just not listening to the locals, I mean, this is at your own risk. But all in all, it's a very safe country to go to. Most asked question is, when is the best time to go to Iceland? And I would say it depends. If you would like to see the Northern Lights and this is on your bucket list and you always wanted to see them, it's best to go during the winter time, because in summer it's not getting dark, and in full daylight when the sun is out at midnight, it's impossible to catch any Northern Lights. So if you would like to see the Northern Lights, it's best to go from September till, I would say, March, April. Be aware that it's, of course, colder. And there might be a lot of snow, and some roads might be inaccessible and some activities might not be available, but you have a great chance in catching the Northern Lights, which is an amazing experience. I went in June this time, so I was able to do all the summery stuff and saw a full-on green and lush and blooming nature, because it was summer and it was like full-on daylight all day long and all night long. But in the end, it's your decision to make. When do you want to go? I feel every time of the year has its own charm, and might be worthwhile to go once in summer and then once in winter. This is what I'm considering. I already saw the Northern Lights in Norway, but I would love to go back to Iceland as well. The third question is, how many days do I need to plan to see everything in Iceland? And again, I would say it depends. If you want to go round the whole island and not only stuck to Reykjavik and the area around, I would say 8 to 12 days might be ideal, and you can easily drive on the ring road around the whole island. If you only have a shorter time and you make basically Reykjavik your base camp and you just do day excursions, you can see the main sites like the Golden Circle and the Blue Lagoon in 2 to 4 days. And top tip, Iceland Air is offering, if you are, for example, traveling from Europe to the US or vice versa, you can do up to 7 days as a stopover in Iceland without any additional charge to your airfare, which is a good option. And you can just do your excursion, see the main sites, and then travel on to your main destination. The fourth very important question that is asked over and over again is Iceland expensive? And my personal answer is yes, it is expensive. Like all the Scandinavian countries, they are expensive. And I'm not really sure if Iceland would count themselves as Scandinavia. For me, all these countries that have like very similar flags, just in different colors, they are all expensive, but it's worth the money. So it's not really a budget-friendly destination as such, but there are options to cut the costs a little bit down. So there are very affordable accommodations. You can do backpacking. I saw people hitchhiking because, again, it's a very safe country. You can do your food shopping in supermarkets, which is pretty much affordable or not much more expensive than it would be in your home country. And there are means and ways to cut down the costs. Also, it's not a great location to go souvenir shopping. I can tell you that straight away. The souvenirs were not super exciting. The main souvenirs are really the natural sights and the photos and the memories you're bringing back home, and they do not cost a thing. You can do very expensive tours, but then also you can go a little bit off the beaten track without any tour guide, and cost cutting works that way as well. So yeah, it a little bit depends on your standards, but overall it's not like the cheapest country you can go to. And this leads to the fifth question, which is related about money. What is asked over and over again is, do I need cash? And the answer is no, you don't need any cash. You can pay with cards. Credit cards work pretty well. Debit cards work pretty well. For my German friends, EC-Karte läuft everywhere. You just need your PIN, and even for the smallest amount. So there were, for example, some West rooms, they charged you like 200 krona, and you could pay with your card, contactless. So that is always an option. The currency, as I said, is Icelandic kronen, with a very crazy exchange rate that made my brain melt in trying to figure out how much money I'm spending.
No.
At the moment that I was in Iceland, which was in June 2023, 1,000 krona equal to €6.67. Yeah, €6.67. Then you try to figure out how much money you're spending. For everyone who's working brain-wise in US dollars, I didn't do the interchange rate, but €1 is $1.10, which is very painful for this European here who wants to travel to the US, but this is a different story for another day. Maybe have a currency calculator on your phone and then figure out what you're doing there. But if you're paying with card, always pay the amount in the Icelandic currency and not in your like home currency, because that in the end gives you better exchange rates and you're spending much less money, as I experienced. Especially critical when I paid my hotel fare, which was like a difference of €100, depending on I'm paying in Icelandic krona now or I'm paying directly in euro, because they have like an estimated, I don't know what kind of crazy exchange rate that was just like dictated by the bank, and it was a lot more money. So do something with that. The next question that is asked over and over and over again is, do I need a rental car? And the answer again is, it depends. You do not need a rental car. You can get around easily by buses. You can buy like vacation packages. You can also book like daily tours or tours that go over multiple days, and then you're just brought there and back by bus, and it's very comfortable. If you enjoy to be independent and more flexible, and also if you want to go a little bit outside of the main touristy spots, then a rental car might be the way to go for you. At the international airport in Keflavik, you find basically every common big rental car company that you can think of. They have Sixt, Europcar, Alamo. They are all there, like 6 or 7 different rental car providers, and you can just check online for the best rate and what works best for you. Airport. My favorite topic. I love airports. If you're coming in from outside of Iceland, which is the case because it's an island, then you will land in Keflavik International Airport. And even if everyone is saying this is like the Reykjavik airport, be aware it's 50 kilometers, 50 kilometers away from Reykjavik. And it's a 45-minute drive if you come by car or by bus. Don't fret, there are very regular buses from the airport to Reykjavik and also actually to the Blue Lagoon. It's called Flybus. They have a bus stop right outside of the airport, and I was smoking a cigarette there, and in the time I smoked a cigarette, at least 3 buses arrived. So there is like a current bus service all the time. It seems to be very, very convenient. There is a bus stop very centrally in Reykjavik, and actually if you're flying in by Iceland Air on our flight, they were selling bus tickets on the flight at the same rate that you would get at the airport. So they're really taking good care of that, and that is amazing. Apart from that, this airport offers a lot of direct connections to bigger cities in Europe and also in the US, which is great and amazing. The main carrier, of course, is Iceland Air. You can use Iceland Air directly to Iceland, but you can also, of course, transfer over Reykjavik and then go to the US if you're coming from Europe, or again, right, vice versa, with a nice stopover maybe, who knows, who knows. Also worth to know, border control. If you're coming from Europe, there is no border control as Iceland is part of the Schengen area. If you're coming from the UK or the US, I'm sorry guys, you have to go through border control. If you are transiting, might be a fun fact, if you're transiting from Europe to the US, this is what I did in January when I flew to Orlando, you have to go to border control, but if you're coming there, you see the border control and there is a huge queue, like always. There are like, I don't know how many people standing in line. If you have an US passport, this is where you need to go, unfortunately, also for the UK. If you are European, just go like 10 meters further and you can use the electronic border control where it's like no one, like completely empty. Top tip. Number 8 is language. As a German, I find Icelandic a very funny language in the best sense, because I sometimes understand parts that are very close to German, and then it's like completely foreign and it sounds a little bit like I don't even know what to compare it to. Also, I had like very funny moments with my navigator thingy, Google Maps, who was like directing me in the right way. And when that tool was like reading out the names of the roads, that was like always a highlight for me. But don't fret. Like everyone, and I really mean everyone I met, was able to speak a very good English. So you get around with English super easily. Everyone is speaking English. Even the nice lady at the gas station in Selfos, when my card wasn't working, she was able to at least communicate with me in English, and we worked it out, and everything was fine. So yeah, if you're speaking English, you have no problem whatsoever in Iceland. And also fun fact, some people also speak some German, so if you're coming from Germany. Number nine. Number 9 is accommodation. So accommodation you might find quite expensive. I mean, again, it's a little bit depending on your standards and what you are looking for. But especially if you want to go around the island and have to stay outside of Reykjavik, you might find that you pay a lot of money for very simple and basic accommodation. And I would say this is due to the fact that first you pay location, you might be near to a nice glacier or some other like spectacular natural site that many people want to see, or that there is just not much like competition around and only a handful of accommodations, but quite high demand from tourists that want to stop in that certain location, and that is just driving up the prices. I usually book my accommodation at booking.com, which is a provider website, not sponsored, just like a loving, very, very, very faithful customer here. And you can compare accommodations, you can compare the rates, and you also get some first-hand recommendations from travelers on there. When it comes to accommodation, I booked both the hotels I was staying in by booking.com, had no problem whatsoever. Also the customer service is great, and can just highly recommend doing that. What can I say? That's yeah. And then number 10, that's the last thing, is what about food? Don't get me wrong, I love food, but Iceland might not be the top of the world gourmet kind of experience capital whatsoever that you can go to. Reykjavik is famous for fish, lamb and skyr. Skyr is like a yogurt. In German we would say Quark. Not a big fan, also lactose intolerant here. Also not a big fan of lamb, to be honest. It makes meh and is cute and should stay where it is. I like fish, I like seafood, and the fish and seafood I had in Iceland was very fresh, super excellent. And this is all I can say. Again, food quite expensive. I do a basic shop at a local supermarket, but also the supermarkets did not have that exciting like local stuff that usually you know, makes me very happy and a little bit out of control when I'm in the US, and where I want to try everything because it's nasty and looks nice and tasty and unhealthy. So that wasn't that kind of experience, but you can cut down again the cost and just go to a supermarket. There are some nice restaurants, they have some nice dishes, but you pay for it, and it's not like, you know, it's just not the main event. You're not going there for the food. This is what I'm saying, I believe. You go there for the nature and for the scenery and other stuff, but yeah, not for food. Yeah, and here we have it, like the 10 most asked questions when it comes to Iceland. I hope it helped you a little bit. I hope you stick around for more travel content. I hope you also go and check out my Iceland adventure and also my upcoming trips that are happening very soon. And until then, I will see you real soon. Take care. Bye.